Good afternoon. My name is Ania Skrzypek. I'm Director for Research and Training at FEPS, and it's my honor and pleasure to introduce today's activity, which is going to be a book presentation. The book belongs to the so-called country case studies, which are a fundamental pillar of the Next Left research program that we geared together as FEPS with the Karl-Renner-Institut since 2009. And today we are going to have a privilege to dive in and focus on the country case study Poland, which written by an amazing scholar, a member of the FEPS Scientific Council, a very convinced European, pro-European, progressive, feminist academic, is having a very intriguing, one could say, title, Social Democracy in Poland, from the top division to the third league and the playoffs. Without any further ado, it is, of course, the moment when I hand over the floor to Professor Anna Pacześniak, who has been behind the amazing research journey that led to 100 fascinating pages. I have to say that for those of you who haven't yet had a chance to find it on our website, it reads like a political thriller. It is intellectually instructive, intriguing, but first and foremost also poses through the lenses of the Polish politics some bigger questions about the future of the social democratic parties system in transition and the state of democracy and where it brings us when it comes to the subsequent elections. I'm hoping that with so many of you attending this afternoon, we will be able to unpack it all. The first part will be recorded, but after that, the gloves will go off as we are going to close the recording and the conversation will be frank, straightforward, and we will get to the bottom of every question that you may have had coming to this meeting, which I'm certain is going to be a fascinating adventure. I'd like to thank one more time Karl-Renner-Institut for an amazing partnership and Gerhard Marr, who is here with us, as also Iris Vijverberg for organization of this event. For all of you attending, accepting the invitation to challenge and to be challenged. And I hand over the floor to Anna Pacześniak with our wholehearted thank you for taking up what hasn't been an easy task, has been having full of detours, but we achieved this grand finale, and today the book tour starts. Firstly online, and then, of course, through the different activities through Poland and abroad. Anna Pacześniak, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Anya. First of all, thank you for invitation for writing this book, but also for today's presentation. I hope that even if at the beginning we are recorded, I could be frank and open because it's my nature. So the people who had the chance, or I don't know if it's a chance, but the time to look the book could see that FEPS gave me really a freedom, also the freedom of criticism. But I would like to start with some words about the evolution of the book titles. So first of all, of course, we would like to find the exciting or sexy title. No? So my ideas were twice. Yeah, the ideas were twice. So first of all, we know that it's a lot of symbols with connected with politics. One is theater or performance, and second one is sport. So you can see that we choose to combine politics with sport to show that politics have a lot with similarities with performance or theater, but still is too important. Of course, theater is also important, but politics is not only the show. So finally, we decided this symbolism with sport. And so, of course, we have to start with social democracy in Poland, and then what to do to attract the attention. As the book is not perhaps concentrated, but of course start with history of social democrats in Poland. History not from, I don't know, 19th century, because I start by 89, so the moment of the democratic transition. But still, history is important. And the history is quite optimistic, perhaps not from the beginning, which I will show for the moment, but in 90s, especially in the beginning of 21st century, this is a golden year. They were golden years of social democracy or center left in Poland. So let's say this is the moment of top division, yes, and then we have really difficult period for center left in Poland. So this is this part, the passing to third league. And in the beginning, when my first proposal of the title sent to Anya was or ended on from top division to the third league point. But Anya, as a staunch social democrat, has optimism in her blood, is the first one, the question. And the second is that really when we discussed a little bit, not a long time, yeah. So it was not a tough negotiation about the title, but Anya said, but how you can stop with such pessimistic view if now from 23 the left is one of the government party, and the situation is not such critical as in, I don't know, in 2005 or 2015, and it's true. So I was not really I had not a problem to add this open question. So the new playoffs are in the title. And the people who don't know the structure of the book, I would like only to present the structure of the book, even if my presentation today will not follow as such the whole structure of the book. And let's say the structure is proposed by FEPS, and I think that it is logical and corresponds with other case studies. So we start with social democrats by showing social democrats in the Polish party landscape. Let's say three period. So the journey from the pariah to stage power, then failing from a great height and back to the political game. And I would like to show some slides about this. Then we pass to the question of policy ideas, and social democrats have this chance to be both, so in some period in governance, sometimes in opposition. Perhaps it's not a chance, yes, to be in opposition, but we can compare how socio-economical issues, socio-cultural issues, foreign policy, question of migration, which is a very hot question in whole Europe and also in Poland, change between the moment when social democrats are in the government and when they are in opposition. Then some words about internal life of the Polish left. This is my really hobby to analyze party organization, but today I only will say only some words about this, especially about membership and party leadership, and then at the end a little bit about challenges and prospects for the center left in Poland. So start with for Poles, perhaps it's not something new, but I would like to explain what did it means to be a pariah in Polish politics in 90s, because it was the case of social democrats. We know all in Europe, especially in the countries where far-right political parties are in the cordon sanitaire. So we connect this category or this situation of cordon sanitaire to the right-wing parties in Europe. But in post-communist country as Poland, this, let's say, cordon sanitaire, even if in 90s nobody said about cordon sanitaire, but it was constructed around the social democrats by almost all political parties except the Polish People's Party, which was the first and at the beginning the only ally of social democrats. And this cordon sanitaire was seen in the Sejm, so the lower chamber of Polish parliament, between 91 and 93, when the SLD, so Democratic Left Alliance, despite being the second largest parliamentary group, was effectively isolated. It had not a representative on the same presidium or as a chair of parliamentary committees. And all the time, also after 93, when SLD with Polish People's Party formed government together, the level of post-communist means that this party or for these politicians allowed less. So it was formed, this allowed post-communist could do less that other parties, other politicians, was formed by the mainstream journal of this day in Poland, Gazeta Wyborcza. And so even if center left in the 90s shift towards social democracy very quickly, it was interpreted by a lot of public opinion or majority of public opinion and mainstream media as suspicion, artificial and opportunistic. So the Social Democrats were confronted with this lower status in Polish politics. But when we analyze the election results, here you have the table or the graph of the beginning, from the beginning of 90s till last European Union election and regional election in 2024. We can see that the voters increase in this moment, even in 90s. So perhaps it was the effect also seen even now in Polish politics, that when mainstream attacked somebody in political landscape, it is by some electorate, some citizens interpreted that, okay, perhaps it's good to consider voting for them. It was, for example, the case of President Nawrocki 1 years ago. Of course, he's not a social democrat, but this feeling of being attacking by mainstream perhaps was visible also in the case of social democrats at the beginning of 90s. As I said, golden years it was. I think I wrote in the book that it was decade, but when I calculate really good, it was not decade. It was shorter time. But if we start this golden years in 95, when Aleksander Kwaśniewski first time became president of the Republic, and when we decide that the end of this golden years is 2003, so 2004 is not a decade, yes, it's less. But still, I put these two center-left men, so prime minister or former prime minister and former president of the party, Leszek Miller and Aleksander Kwaśniewski, twice, two times president of the Republic, so in the 25 till 2005. So it was the some years, so 4 years, when Social Democrats had whole power, let's say, in Poland, so the executive power and also legislative power. And the question, so this is a rhetorical question, of course. What is like to fall from a great height? Of course, painful. So the party, unfortunately, is not the cut. Yeah? So it was really difficult to find this decrease of electoral support, also split of the parties, the division of the parties, and losing of membership base. I will show you in some other slides. And finally, in 2015, it was also losing parliamentary representation. So the situation was really difficult. I don't like to today to explain the reason. You can read this in the book. But let's say that in politics, okay, as I said, political party is not a cut, but also it is possible, because in politics, this is why the politics is so fascinating, that it is possible to back, yeah, to the political game, especially when we put a lot of effort. So as I said, in 2015, Social Democrats lost the representation in the parliament. Again, I don't give. Perhaps some discussant would like to show a little bit the reason for this. But today I would like to be more optimistic and to show why how it was possible that Social Democrats, as a only Polish political parties starting at 1989, could come back to the parliament. So first of all, so it was in 2019. So 4 years after losing the general election and losing the parliamentary representation, the first decision of the party leadership in 2019 was to form a joint electoral list in rather eclectic grand coalition during the European parliamentary election, so in spring 2019. And it was a coalition against the ruling in this time, ruling National Conservative United Right Party and government. And then it was quite successful. Social Democrats receive 5, if I remember well, 5 seats in European Parliament. And then after a few months, before the 2019 general election, a left-wing electoral alliance was formed as an electoral coalition with this coalition was formed by former rivals. So the SLD, Democratic Left Alliance, Razem Party, which started to exist in 2015, and the Wiosna Party. It was, let's say, success. If we compare the result from 2015 and 2019, it was a success because Social Democrats come back to parliament. And then in the same year, and also in future election in 2023, it was also the, let's say, agreement pact, Senate pact, because in Polish Senate we have another electoral law. So this is a first past the post system, and Social Democrats with other oppositional parties decided to have this agreement to have only one candidate in the one constituency, to not be in the battle between them. And so we are in the moment when Social Democrats, after 4 years of let's say of being in the backstage, became again the party who is perhaps not really relevant, but important, still important. And I said I would like also to show some question about ideas, political ideas of Social Democratic party. So let's start, because as I said, it was a freedom of criticism in the book. So a bit of controversy from the past. So I choose only 3 points, yes, about the ideas from, as I said, from the past. So first of all, what is sometimes the point to criticize the Social Democrats in Poland is a rather peculiar stance toward the Catholic Church. So the Social Democrats had this chance, or perhaps well, it was not the chance, to be in power when we had in Poland 2 referendums. First of all, in 1997, we had a referendum before acceptation of our constitution. And then in 2003, it was an accession referendum. And because of the role of Catholic Church in Poland, Social Democrats in power decided to not confront Catholic Church, because so the government looking for support during this referendum of Catholic Church. This is so it provokes, let's say, the gap in a political landscape, because Social Democrats couldn't capitalize on anti-clerical sentiment. And for example, the consequence of this was the construction or the building of other anti-clerical party, Palikot movement, yes, because Social Democrats was not credible to be anti-clerical. Second critical point, it was the moment, the period of Leszek Miller government, when this government introduced cuts in public spending on healthcare, education, social investment. And we can say it's not only the Miller government, but also Marek Belka government. It was justified by the aim of improving economic indicators, modernizing the country, and we have to remember that it was also the moment when third way politics was very popular in Europe. So Leszek Miller was, let's say, similar to Gerhard Schroeder, to Tony Blair, with this neoliberal politics of social democratic government. And the third point, again with Leszek Miller, he's not a hero of now, especially now with anti-Ukrainian stances in Polish landscape. But also in this moment of the government of Leszek Miller was the question of intelligence cooperation with the Americans. And in 2005, we as public opinion discovered that in Kiev, so in north of Poland, American prisoners suspected of terrorism were tortured. So when we are talking about progressive foreign policy, it's a little bit difficult with this let's say, moment in social democratic past in Poland. But now we can say, we can see that we are witness of consistency between policy and political practice. So first of all, really assertive position towards President Donald Trump, especially of Włodzimierz Czarzasty, so the speaker of the Sejm and leader of the party. So saving the proportion, let's say it's a little bit similar as Pedro Sanchez. In Spain, of course, it's not such well known abroad, but in Poland, it is visible that this assertive position of the speaker, center-left speaker, towards President Donald Trump is perceived. Then in migration policy, emphasizing the need for integration policies, helping migrants to find work, ensuring access to housing, education, etc. This is exception in the Polish public debate, which is very right-wing shift especially in migration issues. Also, there is the most pro-European political family, Social Democrats. Other question: European standards of reproductive rights. Nobody in Poland hesitated that this is the left. And also, as the junior partner in Donald Tusk's government, the left introduced really social democratic policy. It's about the question about the labor market, but also the digital tax for large technology companies. So let's say that this is really, we see that the program is not the question that the program is one thing and the political practice is another thing. Of course, is the question how effective junior partner could be in the government, but let's say this is another question. And party as organization. I said that I would like to show some numbers of members. It's not each year's, but I would like to show especially the beginning of the Democratic Left Alliance as a party. So it's 99. They start with the number of more than 75,000 of members. The peak is 2003 when it's more than 100 50,000 of members. And the critical moment is between 2003 and 2004. So we can see that this decrease of membership is really dramatic. And then it's not always the moment when it's decreasing and then decreasing. Yeah, so I choose some years to show you the numbers near the election, or sometimes how the failure in the election could influence the party membership. And now we stay in the party with approximately 21,000 of members. This is not very big, let's say, numbers. And about party leadership, I choose the picture of the leadership. So I guess that you can recognize that there is some lack of this picture. So it's lack of women. And so we see in the picture with Włodzimierz Czarzasty and Robert Biedroń some women in the backstage, yeah, in background. So it's let's say quite surprising for the left-wing parties that they are not in the history of the party, not women in party leadership. And this is also evaluated by the part of electorates as lack of consistency. So it's not lack of consistency between manifesto and political practice, but let's say it's the image of the party, which is seen or perceived, and also construct the image that the party for women, this lack of women in party leadership, it's a little bit surprising. And I said, because I think that this is perhaps is the time for ending of the presentation. I would like to say some words about challenges and prospects. So I put only two challenges and three let's say optimistical points. So certainly challenge for social democrats today is still strong affective polarization between two right-wing parties. It's Law and Justice Party and Civic Coalition, so PiS and KO, in which the left is not involved. So this is, of course, problematic, because when even if Polish citizens are saying in the public poll that they are fatigued by this polarization, but still during the election they vote for this majority for these two parties. And also, when we analyze the public polls, when many left-wing voters, so it's more left-wing voters than electorate of social democrats. So even left-wing citizens sometimes don't vote for social democrats. And two main rivals for New Left Party are the center-right Civic Coalition and the left-wing Razem party. Why? So Civic Coalition is perceived by leftist voters not as a center-left party, but as an effective party who can confront with right-wing politicians. And Razem party, it's perceived as a more radical, perhaps, but more ideological, credible and convincing, with a magnetic social media message, more expressive, and finally, especially by young people, is perceived as a better fighter to the nationalist and far-right party Confederacja. This is, I think, two main challenges for Social Democrats before 27 general election. But some prospects, I think that the speaker's rotation, so it's similar as in European Parliament. So in autumn 2025, Włodzimierz Czarzasty, so the leader of Social Democratic Party, became a speaker of Sejm. And this is a solid basis for strengthening the left's position in the negotiation within the government, but also for increasing its visibility in front to the electorate. Also, Czarzasty's assertive stances toward President Karol Nawrocki. So he introduced same veto. It's not a legal, let's say, procedure, but that's he's perceived. So Czarzasty is perceived as a really competitor of Karol Nawrocki, which from the left-wing electorate is a good message. And also, I perceive as a optimistic prospect for center-left party the shift of civic coalition to the right, especially on the issues such as immigration and security, because this allows or give the space for a new left party to present itself as the only truly left-wing voice in the government. So I stop here, and I'm looking for your comments and perhaps critics. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anna, for this incredibly diligent academic work, but also politically very instructive text that you presented us and the broader European audience with. I mean, just as a reminder, I'm not sure if it's very visible now in the camera. The book exists in real, it's downloadable from our website. So if you haven't had a chance, definitely dive into it. It's part of, as I mentioned, a series in which we try to bust the myth, but also look at the prospects and bigger trends within which social democracy is entangled. And I've seen two other authors of the country case studies joining this debate. Ruxandra Ivan and Philippe Mallier are here respectively for the Romanian and French case, if you had appetites to also look at the previous volumes. Anna, you've run us through the book with a disclaimer. Okay, I'm not going to go directly through the index. Let me share with you some more delightful sort of cliffhanger about why social democracy has been having a bit of unorthodox trajectory of development in Poland post 1989. You've mentioned a number of ideological issues and political entanglements within which the center-left had to try to find both ideological path forward, but also the way of framing narrative and image. You've showed us the illustrative sort of set of pictures. I think many of them will stay with us and imprinted on our brain for a very, very long time. But I'm really wondering how the first respondents would assess both the text and the hypothesis that you've had. You've mentioned the not really a tension, but the exchange between us. How optimistic can you be, taking into account everything that you put on the table, which I guess is somewhere the tension between political science and politics as well. And with that, I'd like to already recommend that we will now hear from the first respondents who represent precisely those diverse communities that we hope will be addressees of your excellent book. We will first hear from Krzysztof Śmiszek, who is the member of the European Parliament and the head of the delegation, the Polish delegation at the S&D Group. He also happens to be from your own constituency, Anya, from Wrocław. So I am wondering about how much of a connection or disagreement there is going to be. Then we will hear from the other colleagues whom I will be in the due time also introducing to you all. And with that, Krzysztof, I haven't spotted you firstly on the list of already connected. You've been here with us since the beginning. So what are your takeaways? The floor is yours. Thank you so much for joining us. You will just be in the spotlight the moment you start speaking.
Perfect. So first of all, thank you for invitation and congratulations to Anna Pacześniak on her new book. Well, I'm gonna read this from the very first page to the very last one, because I'm very curious about the details of her perception of how social democrats are operating under very tough conditions, I would say, here in Poland. By the way, greetings from the Polish Parliament. I'm in this building now, so that was even more interesting to hear about social democrats being in the building of the Polish Parliament. So, well, I don't know how much time do I have. 5-7 minutes, right?
Rather closer to 3 to 5, but
right. Okay. So I'm gonna be very brief. So, well, I do share most of the findings of Professor Pacześniak. Well, I would say that like currently we are striving. We are at Social Democrats. We are. I mean, being a junior partner in the government has, of course, its pros and cons. The pros are that you are able to push the social democratic agenda, and Anna Pacześniak, she presented some of the successes of the social democrats that we are very proud of, and what was a bit frustrating 2 years ago when we entered the government, that we, as social democrats, we were a bit kind of like disappointed with the reaction of the voters after implementing some of our important elements of our program, because we didn't see the change in the support. So I would say that was the feeling of the first year and a half, that we put so much effort, we put so much energy, we were so visible, we were also so much fighting to protect our political identity within this ocean of right-wing and center-right government, and we didn't see the much results in the eyes of the voters. But however, I've got this feeling in the past few months that the atmosphere around social democrats is changing, and Anna mentioned very strong position of our party leader Włodzimierz Czarzasty, who is now the second person in the country, the Speaker of the House, who is quite, I would say, is not afraid to be to confront with topics that are not so popular in the center and the right. So one was the issue with the United States. He showed to the public that he is not going to bow in front of the U.S. administration. And that was very smart, because the whole population in Poland, that was always perceived as the most pro-American country in Europe, the atmosphere in the society is changing, and we are more and more critical towards the US. So the momentum when the party leader started to be very critical, as the only party leader in Poland, critical toward the US, that was, in my opinion, a perfect momentum for being more visible and separated from the mainstream. The second thing, which was not mentioned by Anna, was that our stand as social democrats towards what's happening in the Middle East, Gaza and Israel, it's very exceptional, even if our party is a bit divided about the perception of what is going on in Gaza. However, we are the only one extremely vocal, being vocal about the violation of human rights in Gaza. So I think that this is also contributing to the change of the perception of social democrats. Plus, I would say Anna mentioned reproductive rights. This is true. However, I'm very sad to say that, but I'm very negative and pessimistic in terms of the results. I think that during this term, nothing will be changed in terms of women's rights in the field of sexual and reproductive rights. However, the left I mean, the Social Democrats were very, very on the forefront of the current discussion on the LGBTI rights. And actually, that was us negotiating with the center right, the smaller party from the center right, the governmental party, to have a bill on same-sex registered partnership adopted by the parliament. So we took the lead in this topic, and actually we were perceived as those who delivered. I mean, I'm not saying that we delivered completely, because now we are waiting for the approval of the president, and 99% he will veto this law. But at least for time being, this is my perception, we are seen as those who were quite effective in negotiations. The bill that is now supported by more than 60% of the Polish society. So, I mean, to sum up, I mean, I think that. The title of the book is very intriguing, and at the beginning I thought, it's really unfair to call Social Democrats kind of third league of the political players. However, we were in this place like 2 years ago, but now I'm bit more optimistic, seeing also the recent opinion polls where it's like one by one, it's somehow growing a bit. And in the recent poll we had 9%, which is of course still not too much, but comparing to what happened to the left in 2015, that the left was kicked out from the parliament, there's a big progress. And maybe just one lesson for those who are not from Poland and are like thinking, why in Central Eastern Europe we are struggling with such a low support for the Social Democrats. I think that one of the lessons that could be learned by other countries from our region is that at some point the fragmented social democratic scene, political scene, was wise enough to join forces. And that was because I'm belonging to the new left, to the Social Democrats for the last 5 years. Before, I was very active in the party that was a kind of a competition to the new left, the Spring Party, Wiosna. And we were, our leaders were, I can say that, like wise enough to see that being fragmented leads to nowhere. So in 2019 we joined the forces of three parties. A year later, my party, Wiosna Party, merged with Social Democrats. So now we have two social democratic parties in Poland, Razem, which is like the left, like if we compare it to the European Parliament, and the New Left, which belongs to the Social Democrats in the European Parliament. So this is something that I would put on the table for discussions, that at some point, some of the leaders at least came to the conclusion that well, we should give up with our patriotism in terms of the logos of our parties, and we should join forces. And that was also kind of a good move, because my party that I belonged before, Wiosna, was attracting women and young people. So the circles that were missed by the old Social Democrats. So we pumped the Social Democrats with a new fresh blood that stayed somehow, at least in the membership of the party. And now you can see that the Social Democrats is a very intergenerational political party. You have a lot of young people, but also a lot of elderly people. So this is that was a good combination, at least in my opinion, that we haven't lost the connection with different generations. So for now, that's all from me.
Thank you very much, Krzysztof, and thank you for the, as always, excellent cooperation also with us in Brussels. Thank you for those words, which clearly suggest that, my previous optimism about being in playoffs, it's true. It's the playoffs, it's anybody's game. Even if Anna strongly said, well, there's more people thinking progressively than they actually vote progressively, because there's this tendency for strategic voting. You've mentioned of course, that especially after the merger, there are different constituencies that came in that also calls for recalling that in Anna's book, you will find a little bit about the membership and the sense of belonging when it comes to party structures, with which we know is also a big question in political science. Since you come from the European Parliament, I'm just going to mention that we have here in the audience both the colleagues from the S&D group also present, as well as from the PES group in the Committee of the Regions. So this presentation is really pan-European when it comes to the progressive family. And you did say that you are inside of the Polish lower chamber in Sejm, which means that you are sort of wall-to-wall with our next speaker, Katarzyna Uberhan, who is the member of the Polish Parliament and also vice president of the party. She connected from the side of Sejm. Katarzyna, can I give you the floor?
Hello, everyone. Yes, I'm also in a parliament as Śmiszagus. I'm connecting with my phone, so I'm sorry for the maybe not the perfect picture here. What could I add to what Krzysztof already said? He mentioned so much. So once again, we are a part of the New Left. Is currently, since the end of 2023, the part of the ruling coalition. We used to be the smallest coalition partner. It's not anymore due to some party splitting on our coalition partners, and despite the fact that the New Left used to be the smallest coalition partner, I think we are quite important one. We are the one who is leading in many topics. Actually, those topics that are where our politicians lead. For example, in cybersecurity, that wasn't mentioned yet by Krzysztof, where our Deputy Prime Minister, Krzysztof Gawkowski, I think opens new frontiers and really I think we are more and more digitalized as country. Already Poland is very digitalized, but I think that Krzysztof Gawkowski and Dariusz Standerski, they do great job in improving that sector even and bringing us even more into the future. And about the area that is very close to me, social affairs. I'm here connecting. I mean, I'm sitting right now in my office in the committee of social affairs and family, and we working together with the Ministry of Agnieszka Dziemianowicz-Bąk, Ministry of Social Affairs, Labor and Family. We did introduce many laws in this new parliamentary term, but of course we also brought to the bigger attention, to the big focus, the social agenda. And as it was previously said, that the government, the civic coalition, that they are going more to they introduce more social topics and some more social agenda. I think it's really due to Agnieszka Dziemianowicz-Bąk and due to her role, and very important role, I would say, in this government. I think it's the hardest working, and because I experienced it myself in the committee, the hardest working ministry in this government. And I think that thanks to that, the social agenda and those values and the care of the workers, of the families, it's not just the slogan. We are putting this into action. We did introduce widower pension. We did strengthen labor I don't remember the Polish inspekcja pracy. It's in Polish. It's a labor inspection. Yes, labor inspection. We did improve workers' rights, union rights, and yesterday we finished working on new anti-mobbing laws. So we introduce new programs and also improve the ones who are existing. The biggest, I think, one of the biggest programs and that we are working right now on, it's the systematic regulating of the assistance for people with disabilities. But on the maybe on more general aspect, for example, we are right now in a process of we introduced the program. Agnieszka Dziemianowicz-Bąk introduced a program of shorten the working week and the working time, and we are trying to find the better way to manage the workload that the Polish workers are facing, because we are one of the most hardest working, the most number of hours working nation in European Union. So I think we are doing really, really well and working on the social democratic agenda and bringing it closer to people and showing it's like it has real influence at the people. And I think it's because of us, this government, it's a little bit more to the center, a little bit more to the social aspects than normally would be. That's not so liberal, despite the fact that the main party is the liberals. And about the equality and women's rights, yes, we are. We're not that hopeful because we have the president from the far right, who is vetoing many of our bills that we do introduce. I just read, I think today, that he already vetoed more bills in 10 months that our president from the left, who was already mentioned here, Aleksander Kwaśniewski, vetoed during 10 years of him being president. So it shows the scale. So it could be, it's really disappointing, and it could be yes, this is the factor that makes us less hopeful, but we don't give up. We do work, and we will work on those issues. As I was saying, the issues of equality and women's rights, and regarding the liberalization of abortion. This is it was one of the important issues during the last campaign. The thing that we didn't deliver because of this central right, still more to the right government than us, and the government that makes us going for many compromises. But even despite these compromises, we find a way to introduce and to go forward with our agenda. And the same is with the liberalization. It's impossible to legalize abortion, but we will try again decriminalize abortion. We already tried to pass this bill to the House once. We failed, but we were short few votes, and we will try to do it again before this term goes to end. And I'm hopeful. I'm sure that we are able to manage decriminalization. Of course, at the end, we still need the signature of the president, who would probably veto it. So, but I don't think it's an excuse for us to not work and to not improve improve the law and improve the quality of life of Polish people and Polish workers.
Thank you very much, Katarzyna. Thank you for supplementary comments when it comes to the what the government is doing. And I think it very much links to Anna Pacześniak's point about the evolution of the program. Where are the priorities and what's possible to deliver or not regarding different circumstances. I'm happy that we've heard from both the European leader of the parliamentary group and from yourself leading when it comes to the parliamentary work on the social affairs, because among the colleagues who are in the audience, we have also representatives from Party of European Socialists, as well as from the parties, for example, from Slovenia and others Krzysztof mentioned. There is some similarities when it comes to fighting in the contemporary system within the region, but that's for a separate discussion perhaps. But the book, as I've mentioned, is of course catering to the politically interested audience, but also is a strong contribution to political sciences. So now we are going to turn our eye into the world of academia. And I'm really honored to have a chance to introduce Maria Więcławska, who is the professor of political science from Mikołaj Kopernik University in Toruń, working with us on another project of parties in transition, which is to be collapse parties. I'm not going to tease you out in how far you share our optimism, yes or no. But you've asked me also before this meeting now, is it a typical review when we say thank you for your contribution, or do we go to the academic depth? Anna Pacześniak said, well, recorded or not, let's be frank and honest. And I know that this is a task that you're absolutely up for. Maria, thank you so much for joining us. The floor is yours.
Hey, thank you so much, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to read the book and to share some of my comments. But as you mentioned, I was asked to comment on the book from the researcher's perspective. So I will offer some comments, not so much about social democracy, but on the book itself. And I would like to begin by noting that this is not like a scholarly work in the strict sense of the term. Yes, however, I realized that it was clearly neither the author's intention nor the purpose of FEPS publication and publication series that have been mentioned here several times, in which the book is published. But reading the book, one immediately recognizes that it was written by an experienced scholar of party politics and an expert in Polish political parties with a profound knowledge of and understanding of social democracy. What I really liked about the book is that Anna is taking a very broad, I would even call bird's eye view, that traces the story. And here I would like to underline not the history, but the story of the Polish left. So we have electoral successes and failures that Anna was talking about today, programming foundations, organizational development, electoral base, and the political allies of social democrats. What further enhances the book, in my opinion, is that these issues are analyzed against the broader backdrop of research on social democracy and the theoretical insights of party politics scholarships. And even when these theoretical foundations are not always made explicit, they are absolutely clearly visible to readers familiar within the field, who will, I think, appreciate, as I did, the expertise that underpins the book. Another strength of the book lies in Anna telling the story of the Polish left, while embedding it in the broader political and comparative context. Although, of course, the book is first and foremost the study of social democracy in Poland, but it also offers readers insight into the institutional and political environment in which the left has evolved. And this contextualization absolutely helps to explain both the opportunities, the constraints, and the strategic choices that have shaped and developed over time. Equally important is that the Polish case is also reference to experiences of other social democratic parties in Central Europe, but also in Western Europe. Western Europe is also referenced in this book, and this allows the readers, especially those who are interested in more comparative perspective, to appreciate both the distinctive features of the Social Democrats, Polish Social Democrats, but also to place it within the broader European trends. And finally, I would like to underline that beyond its value as an introduction to the history, or the story rather, as I said at the beginning, of the Polish left, the book also serves, and this is, I think, what we heard in the speeches from the representatives from the MPs, EMPs, it serves as a timely reminder that understanding contemporary politics requires an appreciation of longer-term political, organizational, and also ideological developments. And it is a good base to analyze the possible future developments, which the author offers in the last chapter. And just to conclude, I would like to say that the future of the New Left depends, on the one hand, of course, on the party performances, on its policies, of which Representative Śmieszek, but also the representatives of the Polish Sejm was talking about, also on the organizational decisions. And Anna knew that I will underline this because as she, I am also very keen on doing the research on party organization, but also on the contextual aspects. For example, polarization. We haven't mentioned polarization yet in this discussion. It is mentioned in Anna's book. And of course, on the one hand, there is a debate in Poland that the polarization is probably fading. But on the other hand, we've been hoping for fading of this polarization for quite a few years. And still the next elections are defined by the logic of polarization. So on the contextual factors, but also the systemic factors, yes, electoral code. Anna also was explaining in her book how it works and how it organizes the strategy of not only the left-wing parties, but also of other parties. And I would like to underline that both of the sides of this coin, that means the internal part, the performance policies, and so on, but also the contextual factors are very well described and analyzed in Anna's book. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maria. I think, Anna, you've gotten a lot of scholarly embedded compliments for your book and encouragement when it comes to telling this particular story. And I do agree very much with Maria that there is much more. So yet again, a cliffhanger and a commercial break for those of you who haven't dived into the text, because indeed there's much more about the context, also context when it comes to civil society, trade unions, the embedding of the left, center-left in Poland, but also quite a lot of takeaways. Anna said right from the start, today I want to work around the issue of development and the turning point. I don't want to talk about what could have been done better, because it's not about should have, could have, would have. But in the book, you definitely find the illustration of all the tensions that accompanied the diverse, difficult choices. And as you said, Maria, it's very explanatory. It's written in the context of a political think tank, but definitely much of the political science in both referencing style of writing and the due diligence when it comes to documentation is in the book, which I'm underlining because we have in the audience scholars. I've just counted from 11 different member states of the EU, and 3 of you representing different state universities in Poland. So I'm very happy that as FEPS and Karl-Renner-Institut, we can enable the connection of those critical debates. And with that, I of course want to move to the world of the think tank. And my introduction was also to bridge with the next first respondent, Ireneusz Bil, who is the director of Amicus Europae, but also the member of the FEPS Bureau, and the very recently member of the FEPS Scientific Council. So Ireneusz, from this very specific sort of more how do we deal with politics and what Maria called okay, now and the longer term perspective, how do you see the main takeaways from the book of Professor Pacześniak? The floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Anya. I will be very brief because we have also international participants, and I would love to hear also some comments and reflections on them. So, but of course, I'd like to congratulate both FEPS and Anna Pacześniak for the fruitful cooperation. It's always good to see such a intellectual offspring being published. The book, really impressive, sheds a lot of light on the developments and the challenges facing Polish left. I would like to say about 2 key takeovers for me from this book. First is, I would phrase it as a structural loss of the working class in Poland, because the Polish left, as the majority of the left social democrats in Europe, were always very close to the working class in Poland. In Polish realities, it meant also those people who are rather on the losing side of the Polish transformation of 1989. So the Polish left built all this first league, or the championship league, as Anna is putting it, by a close relation and dignity politics to all those who rather lost on the transformation, particularly in the first years after 1989. But then, of course, something different happened, and you are putting it and shedding a lot of light in your book about how the right-wing populists were able somehow to monopolize the traditional socio-economic and redistribution agenda in Poland. And I think this is particularly a phenomena which should be definitely analyzed in Central Europe, but also widely by social democrats in Europe. Because the populists were able to combine direct financial incentives and even transfers, combined with a dignity-driven conservative identity politics. And somehow this worked very well with the Polish population. And a phenomena in Poland happened, which you describe in your book, which is different, for example, what happened in Germany. Because in Germany, the SPD still retains, I think, quite a good relation with the working class, with the trade unions, but lost the support of the population in big cities. It was taken over to a large extent by the agenda and by politicians from the Greens. In Poland, something different happened. We lost because of this peace population, high identity, conservative politics, but we won the support of, surprisingly, the population in the large cities, to a large extent because of that, what Krzysztof Śmiszek was referring to. So I think this is a crucial analysis, which is very relevant to that what is happening, particularly in the other countries of Central and Eastern Europe. And the second major takeover, at least for me, is that what Anna Pacześniak spoke about as the challenge. So maybe that I described it as a trap of the Koalicja Obywatelska and PiS, so both the liberal and the conservatives, duopoly and the phenomena of tactical voting. Because we are, of course, ahead of the elections. The elections, parliamentary elections, will happen in 2027. And what we have observed in the previous elections were this, in particular, tactical voting, because people, which for a large part of them, the first priority was to close the road to a majority win by the populists, were rather inclined to vote to the largest partner, the Koalicja Obywatelska. And just in a simply tactical move to prevent the populists of winning over. It worked very well, as we know, in 2023. The question is whether it will work in 2027. And this brings me to two questions to Anna Pacześniak, for the discussion. First, of course, how to prevent the structural squeeze of the left, how to gain the ground and see that, and to let the population see, let the voters see that we are not two left parties divided, but we are offering something more structural, as rightly Katarzyna Uberhan was referring to. We have, as we call it, the deliverables. We have something to show, but nevertheless, if tactics works, if people are confronted, okay, the left delivered something, but we have other priorities, and the main danger are the populists, how can we force them to change their mind? And the question is also maybe to Ania Skrzypek, because the next left was fought as a series to look for universal takeovers and universal lessons for the left in Europe. And I understand that the book gives quite a lot of lessons for the left in Central and Eastern Europe. But is the experience really applicable to Western Europe? Maybe in the dimension of confronting the populists? So I have here some doubts, and I would like to ask and put these questions to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ireneusz. And now I got myself in a risk zone because I also got called into the blackboard, but thank you for that. We'll take the questions Together, if you allow, with indeed opening in just a mere moment also to the colleagues who have not been primarily asked to react on the book, but who joined us today as the members of the honorable audience. But before that, we also have heard about youth. I think Krzysztof Śmiszek particularly spoke about how the merger sort of tapped into the constituency of young people. But in FEPS, we have this golden rule and nothing about the youth without the youth. And it's my delight to introduce the last respondent in this round before I open for further questions and answers, that Ireneusz has just kicked us off with the two excellent questions that we will have to come back on. Aleksandra Iwanowska, Vice President of YES, Young European Socialist, as also of Młoda Lewica. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Anya. Thank you so much for the invitation. I will indeed try to be very brief and keep to those 3 minutes military time. The FEPS country case studies, it's an initiative that is very close to my heart. And sorry for being just a bit nervous. I'm just seeing Professor Ivan here, and also Philip I saw, but now I don't see anymore. And I'm just a bit starstruck, and also Professor Pacześniak, who I have to make a confession following the obvious and it's been a great inspiration to me. When it comes to the whole to the book, it's something I had the chance to read it before our meeting today, and I do not only appreciate the density and the depth, but also how you have managed to condense all of the meanders of SDRP, SLD, and also Nowa Lewica into just 100 pages. And I think that everyone here knows that it's not easy to write about national history of party politics to an international audience in a way that everything can be actually understood and put forward without some things getting lost in translation. And when it comes to what Anya has said, that the case study reads as a political thriller, I also have to say that I think to the majority of, or a part at least of the readers, it will also read as an account of history. Because I have to make a confession, I quite literally do not remember the majority of the history that is described in this book. And I'm probably quite sure that the majority of the members of Młoda Lewica probably don't even know who Lev Rivin is. And if they do, they will come across such a persona only, in history books. However, with all this taken in, this is a history that has determined and predetermined the political situation that we have, and I have also as well personally encountered when I was making the decision to not only follow, but I was also the left movement in Poland, but also I was asking myself what I truly believe. And I have to say that, being taught that, the duopoly in political systems exists somewhere maybe in the UK or in the US, I have very quickly come to observe when I was gaining political consciousness that the duopoly somehow is representative of Polish politics between the civic platform and Law and Justice. And that was one of the reasons why I was actually starting to look for answers. And I think the majority of the Polish younger generations are looking for answers.
Aleksandra, if I may, there's something with your internet. We just got you stuck. So,
Oh, really?
yeah,
Sorry.
now you're back.
Better? Where did you lose me? I mean, on the how boring
Young
it is.
generation, that was the last word
Okay. Yeah, so I was just saying that I think this duopoly is also representative, and somehow an effect of it is that a lot of members of the young generation in Poland, whether they're politically active, interested, or just even very passively observing what is going on, I think this is very much contributing to a current polarization we have in the society, especially of the young people, because it's not only about, you know, people looking for alternatives on the left, but also very much on the right, and that is in a way very much worrying, because I think talking my there's somehow this way in which we're starting to lose the ability to talk with one another, especially seeing how the public debate has been gone in Poland in recent years, and the narrative and the language of it. But coming back to the book and also trying to conclude, I have very much have actually been progressive, and also according to whose definition of progressivism the party has been following. Looking at all my notes, yes, I just have to say that this was an amazing account that I will be recommending to everyone I encounter and everyone who will be asking me about Polish politics, but especially the fact I truly appreciate not only this edition, but also the whole series, in the sense that Professor Pacześniak, but also FEPS, has been able to, in a very short, when it comes to quantity of pages, editions in the series, demonstrate the left in Europe can be very different of the movement actually are. And I think this very much is contributing to all the particular political parties, but also youth organizations and people involved being able to understand one another better. So I would very much like to thank you for the invitation, but also especially for this edition and the whole series as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I have to say that your first word gave me even goosebumps about how fantastic indeed it is to be in this gathering in those circumstances. And with that, I'd like to still open the floor because colleagues have been with us now for almost 1 hour and a half. I'm certain that there's a lot of questions boiling. We might not be able to address them all, but at least we will know about them. And maybe when there is a time for a sequel, Anna Pacześniak will have some homework to do when it comes to explaining some of the items. So without creating Felix, exactly, I was hoping that there would be no weird kind of a silence. So Felix, over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Perfectly loud and clear.
Perfect. I was thrilled and very much interested to learn about and hear about, listen about Anna's results. And I was, but I was asking myself whether the analogy, like the metaphor of sports and the going down, the relegation towards the third league or something is the right picture, because we could turn this even around and say, in the way our political systems are structured, is not necessarily that the largest party wins, but the party wins that is best in building social coalitions. And the 2023 example of the Polish elections from a political science perspective was so interesting because of the coalition forming. And from that perspective, we could turn that picture around and say the Polish progressives or the Polish left is indeed maybe not going down the sports leagues, but possibly going up the sports leagues because of the ability to form social coalitions that are much, in the end, much larger than individual parties could ever cover. And so I would say, from an academic and from a political perspective, to dive into how these coalitions are actually formed and then stabilized in government is the truly fascinating aspect of Polish progressive politics. And also from that perspective, it doesn't really matter if any individual left party oscillates between 8 and 12%, as long as they all do their work contributing to that coalition in covering the social puzzle piece that they need to contribute to that coalition. And I would say from that perspective, one could have an optimistic point of view.
Thank you very much. That relates a little bit to the question also posed earlier by Ireneusz, but we'll come back to that because Ruxandra asks for the floor. Ruxandra, you've gone through this process. You are the author of the Romanian country case study, which now definitely would require a sequel. The floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I would like first to salute Anna Pacześniak. We were colleagues during our PhD years at the Université Libre de Bruxelles in the 2000s. I have a lot of questions, but I will limit myself to two because I don't know very well the Polish case, and I would like to compare it a little bit with the Romanian case. First, what is the position of the Polish Social Democrats on military expenditure? Because this is a sensitive point among progressives. The electorate generally isn't very in favor of military spending, but of course in Central and Eastern Europe we have a very special situation which makes that generally Social Democrats are also in favor of military spending. And the second question is related to that. What is the impact of the position on military spending on the electorate, especially because you said that in Poland the progressive electorate is larger than the electorate of Social Democrats. I mean, is that issue of military spending maybe a reason for people to not vote Social Democrats, even if they have leftist beliefs?
Thank you very much. That's a dilemma. I am looking if we have any more contributions from the floor. That does not seem to be the case. Oh no, there is one. Eunice, of course. Eunice, welcome. Eunice is a proud representative of the focus group. I've seen the Next Left focus group and posters here connected, so it's a pleasure to give you the floor.
Well, thank you, and thank you so much for organizing this event to celebrate Anna's great achievement. I really look forward to reading her country case study. Now, I declare to be very ignorant of Polish social democratic politics, so the ins and outs of the social democratic party, in particular the history. I'm old enough to remember the 1995 victory and then what happened after 2005 when all the austerity was implemented, and how bad, how negative that impact has been on the social democratic left in Poland. And my question was essentially about focusing on contemporary politics and the extent to which, so has the coalition, so being part of the coalition has been positive for the Social Democrats in the sense that their visibility has increased, and so therefore people are more aware of the work that has been done. And thirdly, to what extent is the division of the left, so the different left-wing parties, is essentially a great disadvantage to the social democratic left? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Eunice. What a great lineup of questions. Anna, you were at liberty to comment. You've got a lot of wonderful compliments. You have a lot of readership ready to dive into the book. But I have been concrete questions from Ireneusz, also when it comes to the squeeze and deliverables of the center left. social coalitions have been mentioned by Felix. Ruxandra came with some further questions which might correlate to the situation also in the region. And now we also have the issue of the underpinning in the broader contemporary context. So lots of issues. I'm not going to sort of pick and choose the questions for you. That's the job of you as an author, with lots of compliments that I only can echo. Anna, the floor is yours.
Yeah, thank you very much for all panelists and reactionists. No, reactionist is not a good word in the center-left family, but all this really friendly reaction. Alexandra said that she is stressed, but I was also stressed before our meeting, especially to be confronted with the politicians. Also with colleagues, of course, but I know the schema of academic discussion. But with MP and European Parliament members, I was a little bit afraid how they react for what I propose in the book. So thank you very much to Katarzyna, Krzysztof, Maria, Ireneusz, Alexandra, and also for our colleagues from Austria, Romania, and Great Britain, of course. So I start with a question of Ireneusz, and it is a very, really, let's say, tricky answer. So it is answering back questioning, because you asked me about how to influence the left-wing electorate to not vote tactically in the next election. But my question is if really it is if it is not a trap for New Left, because as I mentioned that one of the left-wing rival, so Partia Razem, so the Razem party, is perceived as more, let's say, ideological, pure left-wing party. So if in this sense, when we explain to left-wing voters, do not vote in tactical manner, so they could vote not for center-left parties, and it means that perhaps I'm not against, of course, the Razem party, yeah, but from the electoral tactic of left-wing politicians or politics, it could be a little bit dangerous, because we couldn't think that after the next election, a Razem party will change the tactic towards the government, because there is no chance in 2027 to have a big enough support to be the main party, the relevant party in the center-left side of political landscape, to be the biggest party who proposed to other parties to join the government. So if I could advise, of course, I'm not the best advisor, but it's rather for me the perhaps the promising tactic for the New Left in the next campaign would be the explaining to the left-wing electorate that staying in opposition, even with pure left-wing ideas, as is a case of Razem party, influence, of course, less politics than being a member of cabinet, looking for compromise, even with center-right parties, and showing deliverables from this last period in government. Then the question of Roxandra about state military spending. So it's true that center-left in Poland is not similar to Sanchez's position. So there is a compromise, or no, it's not even compromise. This is a consensus, state consensus between whole political parties, perhaps expect of Razem party, that we have to spend as a state. So in this stances, in these issues, center-left party is not an exception, perhaps, but I'm not sure because it's not showing by public opinion polls, but perhaps theoretically it could be the reason that progressive electorate don't like to vote for them and looking for other parties. But as I said, I don't see this in public opinion polls. What was saying by Felix about who win, what is success in politics is not as in the sport that we have to win the election. It's true, and in the Polish case, agrarians are the best example of what you were saying. So it's true, and perhaps it's a good idea for the article, academic article, to show what it means, because as you know, I wrote the book about electoral defeat, and it was in this case it was a problem because we were talking with Belgian politicians from socialist parties. They said, but electoral results are not the most important, of course. So I really agree. So perhaps now it's time to write something not about electoral defeat, but the question, what is the most important in politics, especially now in a very fragmented political landscape, in not only in Poland but also in other countries. It was also mentioned by Krzysztof that Krzysztof Śmiszek, that Polish left is less fragmented from 2020 to 2021. I noted this because it's true. We have now only two parties, and in the past it was three parties. But in the perspective of next election, we know that the perspective of the one left-wing electoral list is less and less possible. And we know that in a presidential election last year, we had three left-wing candidates. Of course, they could be such let's say big group of three, because it was no chance to have a center-left candidate in the second round. But this practice to have a rival from the left side for the Social Democrats is repeated. Now we are looking for the election in the second large city in Poland, so Krakow, and it will be election for the mayor of this city. And again, there is a rivalry or competition between two female politicians from left-wing part. So in a future general election, it could be problematic to explain to the left-wing electorate, progressive electorate, what happens and why in this polarized landscape. They couldn't cooperate before such important election.
And on that note, I think, I promised a cliffhanger and you were leaving us with a cliffhanger, Anna. I think it has been a fascinating session where I'm certain that there have been many takeaways and much appetite to read or reread the book. Professor Pacześniak, congratulations on this really big achievement. I think, from all the respondents and the voices from the floor, you've definitely got it proven that you nailed the brief when it comes to presenting the party history, the party developments, the party program, structure, membership, and all the strategic issues in just 100 pages in a way that is still fascinating for the Polish audience and very comprehensive for the audience less familiar with Polish politics. Ireneusz asked, what is the takeaway for the international audience? Because indeed, Next Left by FEPS with the support of Karl-Renner-Institut has always been about the drawing certain common conclusions. I think evidently from the Central and Eastern Europe, there is this search for the very authentic programmatic ideological profile that also because of the electoral results now pushes to thinking about shorter and longer term perspective. The book definitely contributes to understanding and learning why we are bound to the motto united in diversity and why the positions of the different sister parties as well as the priorities at the given time might have very diverse underpinning when it comes to the political system and so on. But I think what we take all away from this conversation is that the rules of the political games have changed profoundly. Anna, you've mentioned in response to Felix, maybe this is a material for another article. And I think indeed the question of the parties in transitions and political system in transitions is something that I would attach to the response to Ireneusz. How we deal with that, what's the role of the political parties, what's the role of the membership, when can we say that the elections were won, or by contrary, when they were lost? It seems that the other seems much more obvious than the first one. What does it mean to have political power and what is this power to serve for? But this is all for the further term discussion within the Next Left, and I would like to advertise to you to keep on staying connected. Anna Pacześniak, I've introduced you before. I did not mention that you have been elected by the Conference of the Presidents of the European Parliament to the independent eminent person for the European political parties and European political foundation. I think that it goes without any doubt that for many of us in here, you are an absolute heroine, and having been able to work with you, watching you deliver excellent work has always been a privilege and an extremely humbling experience. I'd like to thank everyone who took part today in this fascinating session, but specifically would like to thank Krzysztof Śmiszek, Katarzyna Ubehan, as well as also Maria Więcławska, Ireneusz Bil, and Aleksandra Iwanowska, Felix Rukshandra, and Eunice for very active participation and the contributions that definitely will help revision. Thank you very much for the sister organizations, PES, SND Group, PES in the Committee of the Regions, for your participations, to all the academics, members of the focus group and the program. And last but not least, thank you to Karl-Renner-Institut for, as always, excellent cooperation, and to the one and only Iris Pfeifenberg for making that all possible today. With that, I wish you a fantastic reading. Keep on coming. If you have any questions to Anna Pacześniak or to us, or comments, or you would like us to look at something specifically, we always look for inspiration. And on that note, we definitely go for the new playoffs, and we wish you a fantastic game time. Thanks so much and have a lovely afternoon.
Yes, and last but not least, thank you very much, Anya, for the wonderful moderation, because you were the,
thank you.
Well, the spirit of this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you so much.